Okay, so I've been debating whether or not to make this video, and let me say it's just a shame, and it sucks that I even have to make this type of video. You know, it's extremely unfortunate. Like I said, I hate that I have to make this video. For the past, I'd say about 2 weeks, and I've mentioned it a couple times on the channel, on the lives and stuff like that, and those that are, you know, not a whole lot of people know about the situation, but I thought it was right to share it for 2 reasons. Number one, to help bring a little bit of awareness, and number two, for transparency. I try to be as transparent with you guys as possible, because I feel like a lot of times, you know, we see people and we think that everything is perfect in their life, when the majority of the times that's not the case, and that can't be farther from the truth. So for the past, like I said, 2 or 3 weeks, me, Rachel, and the rest of the family have been dealing with basically a stalker. Okay, the individual, we don't even know him. I want to make that extremely clear. He lives in the same area as the barber shop, and I would see him at times, you know, in the area. The town is small that the barber shop is in. Milton is a very small town, so I would see him. Apparently he lives not far from the barber shop, and a couple years ago he had bought a painting from me when I was painting regularly, you know, and I sort of forgot about it. You know, I come in contact with a lot of people, so I sort of forgot about that until he brought it up and reminded me. But I'll start at the beginning. For the past couple months, through Facebook, we have seen this individual has been having a mental breakdown. You can see the content, the extremely delusional ideas and fantasies that he has in his head. And for me, I was watching from afar, and I was just, you know, sort of like everybody else that's aware of him and his situation, and just watching from afar. And I was like, man, this is a shame. This brother needs help. And he was even, you know, for a time there, he was dating the female barber that works in the barber shop that I own. So they were dating each other for a couple weeks, and as soon as I got wind of it, I told her, I pulled it to the side and told her, listen, you need to get far away from that man. He's not stable mentally, and it's clear to see. You know, long story short, he you know, she ended up getting out of the situation, but not before he mentally abused her, physically abused her. You know, he you know, he caused a lot of damage to her. So one day after she had stopped by the shop, and this has all been since we've been closed down because of the corona, she stopped by the shop with him just to say hello, and I was, you know, in the building doing some work, and she, like I said, she stopped by the shop with him. I spoke to her, you know, gave her a hug and a kiss like we always do. And he was asking me, you know, he said hello. I said hello, it was real short. And he started asking me, he's like, look, do you have a job for me? Is there anything I could do? And I just said no, you know, we're closed down right now. I made a point to be, you know, polite. I wasn't rude or anything like that. The next day, she told me that he was upset. You know, she's like, yeah, he got upset for some reason because I didn't want to give him any work, which, first of all, you know, there was no work to give. Second of all, I see he's mentally unstable. So somebody like that, I don't want him around me, you know. So then a couple days later, I'm going into the building, and I noticed there's a shirt tied to the door handle, and the shirt was, I seen it, it was against the grain shirt, and I seen it, and at first I was like, you know, I was like, damn, how'd that get there? Didn't think too much of it. I untied it, went in the building, and when I got in there, I looked at the shirt, and the shirt was all cut up. And so I was like, you know, then I started thinking, I was like, man, did I use this as a mask when I was in the building? Because, you know, there was times when we first started working there, I didn't realize how dirty it was going to be, so I used a t-shirt as a mask, and I said, is this one of those shirts? But then when I looked at the logo on it, I knew it wasn't, because I haven't wore those type of barbershop shirts, that specific design, in a very long time. So, and the shirt was cut up, so I didn't think nothing of it. You know, I was like, all right, maybe one of the other guys that were working used it, and you know, just threw it in the back of my truck. Didn't think too much of it. A couple days later, I started receiving messages from him, and they were extremely inappropriate. He was messaging me and telling me, you know, he's like, when I get older, I want to be like you. Is there any type of way that you could be my mentor? And you know, things like that. So I started at that point. I was like, all right, you know, everything that I thought that this man was having a breakdown, it's starting to come a little bit true. And it was just the wording, you know, and I'm being modest with the wording. You know, the wording was basically when I told him, you know, I was polite, and I just said, no, you know, I don't have time for that. I would be doing you a disservice, you know, because my life is so busy with children and a new baby and a business and the channel and all that stuff. So the next day, I believe, or a couple hours later, I started getting messages from him telling me that he loves me, telling me that he was attracted to me physically, saying, you know, things like that. And I just foreseen that things were going to get a lot weirder from there. I just told him, I said, look, you know, I'm a married man, I'm happily married, and you know, I'm not into that type of stuff. 2 days later, I wake up, and by 8:30 in the morning, I have a whole bunch of Facebook notifications. So apparently the man was making all type of threats to me over Facebook, you know, telling me he was gonna kill me, he was gonna stab me, he was gonna slit my throat, he was gonna do the same to my wife, he was gonna come to the house and harm the children. I had posted a shirt, a picture that I had a white shirt with a black tie, and he began to say that that was the sign of the devil, that I'm a demon, that you know, just a whole bunch of delusional ideas and opinions and stuff. Then he began to also target other business owners in the Milton area and tell all of us collectively that we owe him money for operating a business in his town, he said, quote unquote, his town. You know, you owe me for operating a business in my town. Almost like trying to extort us or something. So I spoke with another business owner, and that's how I realized that, you know, and he did this all over Facebook. And then I spoke to another business owner, and I realized that, you know, I wasn't the only one. So there was like a total of 4 of us, but I was the main one being targeted with the death threats. The others was just sort of extortion. Me was death threats. He went on to proceed to tell me that he was gonna all over Facebook Live and through messages that he was gonna rape my wife. He was gonna harm the children, newborn. You know, he was gonna harm the dogs, even went that far. You know, it was just really, really unsettling stuff. And this was happening on Facebook. There's a lot of subscribers to the channel and supporters of the channel that are friends that seen this and were messaging me and like, hey, what's going on? Who is this guy? And I was like, look, I don't know him, you know. So mind you, we have a newborn child in the house. I become concerned with my family's safety. I call the police. I make a report. They asked me, would you like to press charges? I said, no, I think, you know, I understand the man's having a mental breakdown right now. He's probably in a manic episode, so I think he needs help more than anything. Because previous to that, like I said, I'd see him around town and just out of courtesy, you know, hi and keep it moving. Never a conversation or nothing like that. You know, I'm sure I probably had a conversation with him when he purchased the painting, though, he said. But I always, and it's sort of common, you know, when you see somebody and you know they're a little bit off, and I thought the same of him always from the beginning, but didn't think it was this off. So as he proceeded to make these threats, when I called the police told me that they were actually looking for him for an unrelated issue. Went to find out that he was doing this to his ex-employer also. Harassment, threats, death threats. So the police were looking for him. So evidently, I guess he went on a little road trip, went to Philly, to Harrisburg, and he'd be posting and saying, you know, I'm on my way home, and when I come home, you're the first person I'm gonna kill, and I have a list, and you know, all this stuff. So, he was on a live video, and I guess Rachel clicked on the live video. Somebody alerted her, somebody sent her a message and was like, you need to watch this video right now. And it was all during live video. Live feed on Facebook. So he goes and continues to threaten her. At first, the majority of the threats were directed to me, but concerning her, and now he started directing his threats towards her for both of us and the children. So Rachel calls the cops. They end up committing him to a mental hospital. They commit him for a couple days. He gets out. The cops, you know, they didn't give us a heads up or anything. And when I spoke to them, they said, you know, we didn't know that he got out. So he gets out, and he's told not to have any contact with us. Within 24 hours of him being home, he's driving past our house. Our house is absolutely nowhere near his. And our house isn't, you know, you have to know where we live to sort of get there, you know. So that's concerning, like I said. And you see his episodes, he's, you know, up 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, on Facebook Live with knives and pipes and bats, and, you know, and the whole time he's using drugs, you know, openly on Facebook Live, and he's you know, like knife fighting and making stabbing gestures and fighting like a knife, like he's a karate guy or something. And it's just extremely concerning. And then he continues today. My initial thought or reaction to this, like I said, I didn't pay too much mind to him, because I said the man's having an emotional and mental breakdown. And then when he crossed the line and involved my family, that's, you know, I have to draw a strict line there. Initially, you know, my first thoughts and reactions were to go where I would have gone in the past, and that wouldn't have been good for either one of us. It would have either ended up, you know, him being hurt or me being hurt, you know, because you never know the way things can turn out. I'm not Superman, he's not Superman, you know, but I know what my intentions would have been, and I would have felt 100% justified because of the threats to my family. Make that very clear. So this is still going on today, a couple weeks later. I thank you, everybody that's reached out, that's familiar with the situation, that has reached out. I thank you guys for your support, and checking on us, and just, you know, seeing how things are going. I thank you guys. I truly appreciate you guys. I ask you to just keep the whole situation in prayer, keep us in prayer, keep him in prayer as well. Because a lot of people, we see stuff like this, myself included, I'm guilty of it too. At first, when I was watching from the outside, you know, I was almost like amused by it or entertained by it, and was like, man, this guy is crazy. You know, and then I started to dig myself, and I was like, you know, this is a sad situation. Because it's almost as if he wants somebody to do something to him, you know. I think, and I truly believe that 100%. He wants somebody to put him out of his miseries. And that's an extremely dangerous situation to be in, for everybody included. You know, his family's reached out to me and apologized, and I thank you guys. If you see this, I thank you guys. And, you know, that has no bearing on any of you. I just, you know, I just ask you guys to keep the situation in prayer, that it doesn't end up with anybody being hurt. Somebody could easily lose their life over this type of situation. You know, easily, 100%. That can happen like that. And one thing I know is, for my family, I'm willing to die. Bottom line. You know, nothing will happen to my family. I am confident of that. You know. So I just thank you guys, and like I said, this goes to show how important, first of all, that mental health is, and how important that holding each other accountable is. When we see somebody we loved, or a friend, somebody going through something like this, we have to intervene, because if not, things can go too far. You know, you never know what another person's thinking. I put nothing past anybody. For me, I would have been more comfortable if he was making those threats out of anger, but it's coming from a different place. So that's when I have to believe you. You know, if they were coming out of anger, I would have been like, yeah, all right, you know, whatever. I don't get that vibe. So I believe him. I believe everything he's saying. I believe, given the chance, he would try to do everything he's saying. So that leads me to say, well, what am I supposed to do? You know? So, you know, if you have a loved one or a family member who's going through something, especially now, through these times, you know, people are acting differently because of what's going on in the world right now. People are out of work. People, you know, can't do things they like. People are under a whole lot of stress, depressed, all that stuff. Mental health, I think, is super important right now. So, check on them. Hold them accountable. Pull their coat. If it needs to be, I believe his family should 302 him again. And 302, for those of you that don't know, is when they commit you to a mental hospital for your well-being. I think they should do that again. I think they would much rather do that than to have blood on their hands. If, God forbid, he was to do something to somebody, or somebody was to do something to him. You know, because that's what it's going to be. It's going to be blood on their hands. So, I thank you guys. Like I said, keep us in prayer. Keep the family in prayer. Keep his family in prayer, and the individual in prayer also. That, you know, whatever happens, and nobody loses their life or gets hurt in the process. I thank you guys, and I appreciate you. And like I said, I hate that I have to make this video. I wish I didn't have to make this video. This is one video I never thought I'd have to make, and I would have never thought I'd have a stalker, or our family would have a stalker. Somebody that obsessed with me and them. You know, this is weird. This is new territory to me. So I just ask you guys to keep us in prayer, and I thank you. And God bless everybody, and have a good day.